Hello everyone, this is Sam DeNorma with Brighton Securities. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Monte Carlo Simulation. And this video is really a continuation of our last video about the 4% rule. I'll leave a link in the description to that video. You may want to watch that one and then come back to this video. The 4% rule is a real general rule of thumb about what is a safe distribution rate in retirement. And so now we want to take that to the next level, and we really want to customize that and tailor that to your own personal situation. A Monte Carlo simulation can be a great tool to do this. So how does it work? So we're going to want to collect a lot of data, things like all of your income sources, right? Not just distributions from your retirement accounts, but also Social Security, any pensions you might have. Maybe you plan on working part-time during retirement. Maybe you want to start a small business and you expect to earn some income from that. Then we want to measure your spending, and not just a straight line and not just what it will take to pay your most basic bills, right? We also want to build in any large one-time items or bucket list items. Maybe you want to plan for buying a home down in Florida to escape the cold, snowy Rochester winters, right? So then we're going to list out all of your assets, and we want to also take into consideration their tax status, right? You might have a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, brokerage account, and we want to think about, how are those distributions going to be taxed? Are they tax-free? Is it some mixture of short-term and long-term capital gains? Is it ordinary income? And then we want to add that all together, and we want to kind of figure out where your marginal tax rate is going to end up in any given year. We're also going to build in inflation expectations. We're going to look at the age that you hope to retire, and we're going to talk about life expectancy. And then everybody's portfolios are going to be different, right? We're probably going to be looking at something much more diversified than that simple portfolio that's used in the 4% rule. Okay, so then we've collected all of this data. This is all personal to you. We may want to run a couple of different scenarios with different data points, but this is much more comprehensive than the 4% rule. So then we run the test, right? Now we're going to run the Monte Carlo simulation. And just like the 4% rule, what we're trying to figure out is we want to get an idea of what is a safe spending rate in retirement, assuming our fair share of good times and bad times and lots of sort of mediocre years in between. Because remember, the important thing here is we want to guard against sequence of returns risk, okay? What happens if you happen to retire during the Great Depression? What happens if you happen to retire in 2008 or the stagflation era in the 70s? We want to hope for the best, right? But we want to plan for the worst. So this is how we take things to the next level. What happens in a Monte Carlo simulation is a little bit different than what we were looking at when we were talking about the 4% rules. Rather than just looking back in time and then sliding a 30-year retirement window forward 1 year at a time, what we're going to do is imagine that we've got about 150 years worth of actual returns that have occurred over time for all of the different asset classes, okay? And imagine we write them all on little slips of paper, we tear them up and we put them in a hat and we shake up the hat. And we're going to draw out looking forward and say, this is our return in year 1. This is our return in year 2. This is our return in year 3. And we're going to live the rest of your life out to whatever we've entered in for your life expectancy. We're going to run the test 1,000 times or more. This is going to provide us with is a couple of things. One, it removes all of our personal biases from the results, right? They're randomized returns, but they're actual returns that occurred throughout the last 150 years. And the other thing is that running many iterations, 1,000 or more, is going to assume that we didn't just get lucky and pull only good returns from the hat in our test, or get extremely unlucky and pull all the worst returns out of the hat, right? So we want to iterate many times. And what we want to see is that the vast majority of our tests passed, meaning you didn't run out of money before the end of your life, okay? What this does is it gives us a very high level of confidence that you won't have to lower your spending in order to prevent yourself from running out of money before the end of your life. Now, that doesn't mean that it's impossible, okay? It just means that it's highly unlikely. but you always want to be prepared to make adjustments. And really, this is the value in running one of these simulations and building a comprehensive financial plan, right? It's not just about whatever our results happen to be on day one. It's that either on your own or with a professional, you're going to build this plan, but then you're going to monitor it over time, right? Because what's important is that we want to always be comparing our projections to reality. I've got a little chart here that demonstrates the results of a Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, so this is showing somebody who retires at age 63 and lives to about age 90. And what you can see here is that, again, the green lines are the tests that passed, and you can see the vast majority of these tests did pass, and you didn't run out of money before the end of your life. Very few of them failed. You can see here why it's important that we run this test 1,000 times, because sometimes you get extremely lucky and you pull nothing but good returns out of the hat, right? And in this case, despite making withdrawals for like 25, 30 years, this person would have ended in this test, you ended above 7.5 million. Obviously, that's why it's important that we run the test many times, but you can see the vast majority of the results did not run out of money before the end of life. And this little black line is just showing what was the iteration with the worst average return that still passed the test. Okay, so this is just interesting to look at. We won't dive too deep into that. So Monte Carlo simulation is a great way to take something like the 4% rule and really tailor make it to your own personal situation. But it's important too that you want to run this test, but then you want to monitor, okay? This is not just something written in stone on day one. You run a test like this and you want to make sure that what you hoped to achieve on day one continues to be the case over time. And you also want to plug in any new goals as they arise and see how that affects things too. Monte Carlo simulation, great tool for determining distribution rate. Remember, nothing's guaranteed, right? And we're just looking to have a high level of confidence here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it entertaining and valuable, please make sure that you subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family, and hope to see you back here for the next video. Thanks so much.